an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering WestWorld, Season 3, Episode 1. Parce, or is it Parce? Domine.
I think it's Parce.
I don't know Italian. What is that, Latin?
I think it's supposed to be, it's Latin.
In this episode, y'all are going to have to forgive me because shit has been wild and I did not re-watch the first 2 seasons, so this will be an adventure called What Does Natasha Remember? Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
Yeah, so...
Welcome back.
Wow, it has... I kept telling myself that I was going to rewatch, and I will be honest with y'all. It was a combination of really not having a lot of time. I have not been doing a lot of television watching in my free time lately, now that Animal Crossing is in my life. But also, it is a depressing show in a lot of ways. And it's been rough in the world, and I did not really feel like putting myself through this again in my downtime. So I have decided to come into this a bit raw, so to speak. And
I think that might actually work out in your favor.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I think it might work out in the shows and meaning our podcast as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Because, well, let me ask you this. What is your sense of what your feelings were about the second season without having revisited any of it?
It was confused.
Right. Okay.
Season 2 felt like they had a lot of ideas and a lot of plate spinning at once. Mm-hmm. And they didn't seem to know which ones they wanted to focus on. And they definitely dropped a couple. And it just was less cohesive. Season 1 was very, focused, and they were telling a specific story, and the second season just was trying to play a little too much, was the vibe I got overall. So, yeah. Okay,
good. All right. My experience with season 2 was when I watched it live, I really enjoyed each episode. Well, not each episode, but I enjoyed the episodes individually, is a better way to say it. But then upon my rewatch, so that we could record, I found that the season didn't hold together for me overall. There were some stunning hours of television within the season.
Right.
But as a complete story, I felt like it fell short in a couple of different ways that we covered in our season 2 podcast. So I'm not going to dive into all of them at once or right now. But what I think is good about you having some distance is that the things you had problems with won't be at the forefront of your mind anymore.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like it's good because some of that baggage will be kind of left behind.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Well, good. That makes me feel better because I was kind of I didn't do my homework.
There are some callbacks to stuff, from the previous seasons, but the callbacks are one of two. They're very specific plot points, which I think you'll remember once you watch them. You'll be like, oh, that's right. And the other ones are such small details that we would have forgotten, even if you rewatched, because there aren't things you're like, oh, I need to catalog that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So overall, I don't think that it's going to be a problem.
All right, good. Well, I gotta say, right out of the gate with this episode, I forgot how gorgeous the show is.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like the previous seasons, when we sort of left WestWorld and went into the real world, it felt a little, I don't know. It was just a little bit like, oh, I want more of the Western thing. And, you know, the goofy, like, I liked the park because it felt like it was an enclosed world. And it made it easier for me to process the story, I think, was also part of it. And what we saw outside of WestWorld was, and in terms of like the outside world, was mostly still like the company and the workshops and whatnot. So there was a part of me that kind of felt like, I mean, it's cool to see all of this tech and everything, but it doesn't give me an idea of the wider world and what all is being instituted in general, you know, because this is like a park for the super rich. And I didn't really have any concept of where technology was for the average person, because the park is still practically a myth for a lot of people. Like where they've gotten with their development is just, there are people who don't even believe that it's a real thing. And I really liked getting to see this out in the world.
Yeah, we knew that the park itself was miles ahead of any other tech that was happening in the world. At the start of the park, because we remember when fucking Delos' son, whose name I can't remember, I just had it, but anyway, when they first meet him and he doesn't realize he's in a room full of hosts.
Ben Barnes, right?
Ben. And he's just like, what is this? We're not here yet. I thought this episode did a really good job at building this world fairly quickly for us. What'd you think?
I gotta say, this episode knocked me on my ass. Like, I came into this really, all I had heard was that Jesse's in it, and I had forgot that I had heard that Jesse's in it. So I started, like, the first moment you see him, I'm just like, wait, what? Oh, right. And I am... everything, again, I know I'm going to say this a lot, though, guys. Everything looks so beautiful, but it looks real. It doesn't feel like the example that I'm always going to go to from here on out when I'm trying to talk about things that are pretty but look like they are not real is Aquaman, because they have this like underwater world and it's so generic and boring and everything is the future, but it's like lame future, and everything is so shiny and there's so many lights and it's just glowy. And the glowy feels like we're going to make it glow so that we can fuzz the edges so that nobody notices the CGI is real bad. And this feels like everything is mostly, in terms of the structure of the cities and everything, it's mostly the same. But we are just changing some design elements. We're making things smoother. We're making things rounder. There's a lot of like organic edges, even though they're obviously metal and like machine made. There's like a false sort of softness to it. And I really feel like this world feels real because they are making an effort to show us, yeah, this tech exists and it's out there and it's badass. But again, reminder, this is stuff the super rich get to use. And I think that's what's key for me, is that we see this basically fucking like UFO that they use to get to and fro. That's like a helicopter. It's a UFO. It's fine. And there's a part of me that immediately is like, oh, really? And then I'm like, well, yeah, because these are like fucking...
Yes.
Elites.
This is Jeff Bezos money.
Exactly.
Like, this is... I love that this is clearly the future, but it is a future that feels like we are just coming up upon. Like, this feels like you could almost, touch it, Like, if I could live an extra 70 years, I might get to see this.
Yeah.
It's not like Star Trek future.
And they really hammer that home by contrasting what, we see Dolores for... Are we going to call her Dolores? Or are we going to call her Wyatt? Because I feel like...
That's a good-ass question.
But we see what she's experiencing, and then we go... What is Jesse's name in this?
Caleb.
Okay. We see what Caleb is experiencing, and we see what Bernard is experiencing, and how they're both definitely dealing with like more advanced tech than what we have. But in comparison to what Dolores and her beau are dealing with, it's just next level. And
right.
It's just, they did a really good job of setting this place up and making it feel completely real to me. And
yeah,
therefore really, really threatening.
It's like, I just made a Jeff Bezos joke, but really, it's like the Alexa that you guys have in your house versus the Alexa that Jeff has in his house.
Right, exactly.
Like, his Alexa is probably making dinner.
Oh, that bitch is in 6-inch heels, naked, and just covered in bacon burns.
In what?
Bacon grease burns. You ever make bacon naked?
Why would she be covered? What is happening with this? What are you doing?
I'm guessing that he would want to have her cook naked, but that's just not smart.
But bacon? Oh.
Well, what's more indulgent than bacon?
It is the sexiest, right? Bacon is the sexiest part of the pig.
I'm pretty sure that it's an aphrodisiac, at least for me.
But instead of making you want to fuck somebody else, it makes you want to fuck you.
Oh, this just got weird.
It really did.
Welcome to the
We're not even
show.
into the episode yet.
All right. So I will say this, though, and I said this to you in text. I could not figure out how to turn subtitles on because I was watching it on my smart TV. And this has been a problem with HBO in the past. I don't know what the fuck is up with their volumes, but every time that I have watched something on HBO, I have had to jack that fucking volume to double what I normally do. I don't know why. And the volume of the dialogue is, in my opinion, completely overwhelmed by the volume of the sound effects and music.
Yeah, I watch on either the computer through the HBO Go app, which is pretty easy to do closed captions, or I watch via HBO on the TV.
Right.
Same, I can put closed caption on easy peasy. I found that some, like Caleb, I found like I was missing a lot of, because his was like an overhead, like a voiceover a lot of the time. So I was like, oh, I need closed captioning for this because what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on either because I'm trying to turn the episode on my desktop right now so that I can have it playing and reference specific things, and it's giving me the loading and then sorry, we can't play this at this time.
Oh no.
So that's really annoying because I like having that going.
Are you trying to watch from HBO Go?
HBO Now is the one because I don't have. This is Chris Texas sign-in, full disclosure.
Yeah, isn't it? What's their app called?
HBO Now.
Oh, I thought, okay, so I'm on HBO Go. Why does HBO have 4 or 5 different fucking things?
Right, so they've got HBO Go for people who have HBO on cable, HBO Now for people who don't have cable, and HBO Max for people who want to watch cartoons from the 90s, I guess.
Oh my God. If it was cartoons from the 80s, I'd be on board.
There might be 80s in there too, but yeah. I don't know.
David Keogh, friend of the show, friend of the podcast, sent me a link to an artist who did some 3D rendering of what he thinks Smurfs would look like. It was the best thing I'd seen all day.
Oh,
probably
God.
in a couple of days.
I'm glad that you said it was the best because that sounded really scary to me.
Oh no, it was great. One of them, he looks almost like a cat. He's almost like a little slightly feline face. And then he's got a Papa Smurf that's like just drawn. It's not a 3D rendering. And it looks like an old man in a mushroom with like this long beard, and his hat is like it's the best. But anyway, he found that on a Retro Cartoons Facebook group.
Oh.
So when he sent me the link, initially the link he sent me was to the group itself, not at like a particular post. So I was like, "Oh, fun! This is great. I'll give him a like." And he was like, "Wait, no, I wasn't just giving you a random Facebook page to like. You don't have to pretend like that's exciting."
Oh, David, we love you, buddy.
We really do. All right, so you ready to start this episode?
Yeah.
You want to try your doohickey one more time?
It's playing now. For some reason, it seems like the preview of because they have like ads for other HBO shows before them now, and it seems like that was what was fucking up. So once I was like just forwarded past that, it was okay.
Okay, all right.
So I had to skip like the actual opening scene. We open up with this dude, right, getting his like bad news on the stock.
Yeah, it opens up first. There's just like what looks like it might be a credit sequence, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was weird, right? What is going on there?
It just said in the top corner. It said divergence.
Yeah, I was like thinking that they had completely changed the credit sequence, and then they actually play the credits later, and then this sort of like effect of this ring comes up again. Later on in the episode, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is going to be a thing. This is not credits at all.
And it just says divergence, Binhai, China, and then it opens up on this guy's house. Mm-hmm. So real quick, I'll just you want to tell me what you thought about this opening scene?
Listen, first of all, this motherfucker is I don't know. I wish that I could put my finger on when shows introduce new characters like this, what makes them immediately seem real and what makes them seem like a cartoon. And I don't know if it's just the actor just manages to just do that, but this dude, you like know he is out there somewhere, right? The second that you hear him fucking bite this guy's head off. Yeah.
He is so, not to explain to you, but just for, like, the purposes of the fucking recap part of this. He is looking at news about the massacre at the park. Mm-hmm. And then he's talking to his, like, business guy. He's trying to dump a bunch of stocks.
Yep. As you do.
Right? Like these motherfuckers do. And he can't because they put a throttle on trading. Mm-hmm. And he feels like he's important enough and he's special enough and he pays enough money that he shouldn't have to wait in any fucking line.
Yep.
And then he yells at his wife and bites her head off for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And immediately we all know to hate this guy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and his wife is like, there is just this immediate understanding of her function in his life. Because she is dressed to the nines, and it's coming to, like, with a glass of port or fucking who knows what, to tell him that chef's dinner is ready. And this whole thing, it feels very much like, I was wondering if she was a host. Because it feels like that's what he is kind of after, and we don't actually know for sure that she's not. I mean, I don't think so, but...
Yeah, well, it's implied that she's human.
Yeah. But yeah, she's meant to be an ornament and entertainment and, probably to be pleasant when he has business meetings and people over.
Right.
And that's, like, he clearly does not really see her as a person. Because he bites her head off here, and then he comes to bed later and has the fucking audacity to try and, like, do that shoulder thing where he's trying to get fucked. And she just has to cold shoulder him, and it's very clear that he does not think that what he did warrants her to turn him down right now. And I'm just like, dude, you need to...
Mm-hmm. And then he punishes her by telling her that she can't go out anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I'll say that because it's not a spoiler, that she is human.
Okay.
That because when Dolores comes in, they talk about her in relation to his first wife.
Mm-hmm.
So after the cold shoulder, he takes his little nighttime tab dealy.
Yeah.
Sets his alarm for however many hours of sleep he wants to get,
Mm-hmm.
and goes to bed.
Yep. And then some shit happens. And honestly, it's just so much fun to watch.
It really is. It's very satisfying.
Because this dude is really, he's one of these. And that's all I need to say. He really thinks that his life is so stressful. And, maybe it is, but you literally have everything anybody could ever want. So your stress is coming purely from greed, and nobody feels bad for you. You are an imbecile. And this whole fucking, punishing his wife thing, like you said, this is such an abuser tactic to isolate somebody in retribution. And the fact that he's living in China, right? From the established, little thing in the beginning. Mm-hmm. There is a huge part of me that feels like both of his wives being Asian, and I would assume Chinese if that's where he's living, feels like a real fetishizing thing on his part. And that could be pure coincidence, and I'm reading into that too much. But he seems like the kind of guy that, because he is abusive, as we find out later. I mean, we see enough of it here to know that, but it turns into physical abuse. Yeah.
Right.
He seems like the type of dude that would be like, well, Asian women are more submissive. That fucking gross sort of, you know what I'm saying? And looks for that. And, obviously, side note, not true, guys. But it is a really unfortunate stereotype that Asian women get fucking projected onto them.
Right, because at first I was like, well, maybe, it's just supposed to be that he is, dating who is around him and he's living in China. So, it makes sense that he meets and marries an attractive Asian woman. Mm-hmm. But then the fact that we find out later that this is his second wife. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, maybe the show is trying to suggest something more. Yeah. But we don't get enough evidence to really, dig into that. Yeah, it's just my assumption based on the rest of his personality. Exactly. I think that is a subtle thing that the show is trying to suggest to us about him. Mm-hmm. So he wakes up to a gas mask on his face. Yeah. And yeah, right, listen. Anyway, fuck. His wife is knocked out from whatever this gas was, and he sees Dolores in his pool. Mm-hmm. And she says hello. Yep. And we see all the fires lighting all over the place. This house is gorgeous, and it's also that thing that we always see where, the super rich, for some reason, have to live in glass houses. Yeah. The fucking Cullens, man. This is all I think of is the fucking Cullens. Everything in their house is white and metal and glass. Yes. Yeah, that's such a... I mean, you know what I think? Before it became such a overused trope, I think maybe just people were like, oh, I want a lot of light in my house. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Something that innocuous, and then it just turns into this weird status thing. I just don't understand. I mean, granted, he looks like he lives in a remote area, but I could never just walk around my house at night and be at ease. Without any curtains and shit? Yeah. Same. Same. Unless you have the tech to make your windows suddenly opaque, which they might do. I think they do. When he was putting his bed thing, his bed whatever together, it said, mild or mellow sunset or some shit. Oh, right. So it can kind of, yeah. So I don't know if that's, my assumption is that maybe it can make it seem like that's the time of day it is. Or maybe that's what it'll be like when he wakes up. Ooh. Maybe. I don't know. But, I'm sorry. I'm just watching the part where she comes out of the pool.
Yeah, she is just, it's a really wonderful power move because she's straight up just swimming naked in his pool. And by the time he comes down, because he sees her swimming and, you know, he's yelling for security, nothing's happening. He looks at his wife, she's not responding. And his wrists are zip tied together in front of him. And the, like, flames all being lit. It's just like, it's just very sinister. It's great. He goes to the fucking thing and tries to get it to open the door, and it's not listening. I've been reduced to core functions. If you would like to turn on the lights, say turn on the lights. So eventually, as he's standing there waiting for these things to obey his commands...
Oh my God, the panic in his voice, in his face when he realizes he no longer has control is delicious.
It's gorgeous. And she comes up and she puts her hand on the door and the door's like, oh, what's up, girl? And just opens. And he realizes that this bitch has taken his home from him. Oh, God.
Yeah.
And it turns out that, you know, this guy is an investor and he's also a client.
He's not just a president.
Yep. And he has had some encounters with Dolores before, or at least one.
At least one. And she's read his book, which from the last season, you know, at the end of the season, she gets to the Big Forge and she reads, you know, the books from certain people.
Oh, right.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So he's one of the people that she read about, and that's how she has all this additional information. She has the stuff she knows about him from her own encounters, and then she has the additional data from the park that Delos was stealing.
Right. I forgot
so
Delos was doing that shit.
So she tells him that... Well, she tells him a couple fucking things, first of all. She tells him it's dumb as fuck to build your whole world with things that have more in common with her and hosts than they do with humans. And I'm like, bitch, that is a fair fucking point.
Yep.
And she tells him, basically, I know what you did to your first wife. And she puts those glasses on him so that he can see it.
Yeah.
Which is how he was talking to his financial person earlier. It was just a hologram there at the house.
Right. Yeah, this is something that I'm curious about because it's treating this like it's almost magic. Because I don't know if there is actual footage of the scene that he's like, is this footage that got recorded somehow and she is just managing to project it into these glasses? Or was this like data collected some other way that we as yet don't know about? Because it's very photorealistic. I mean, it's
my assumption is the fact that they were stealing people's memories, which would be like your mind's eye, that once that's converted into data, it can be, I guess, exported as a visual image.
That's messed up.
Right? It's kind of what we do with all of our visual shit anyway, right? We take this information, it travels via, you know, Wi-Fi or cable or over-the-air signal, and convert it into visual images.
Can I just tell you how fucking much that shit still blows my mind?
Listen, I had to stumble through that sentence because I realized I was getting it. I don't know how that shit works.
Like, honestly, this is some old tech, but a fax machine is nuts to me.
It's same.
Your handwriting. It's not. It's not just sending a text via whatever font is on the other end of the machine. They get your written message. Like, how? How did we do this?
We figured out how to transmit something that's, you know, on paper, and take that information and transmit it via telephone line so that it prints out on an entirely different piece of paper.
I just cannot wrap my, like, the fact that anybody ever even thought, well, that's probably possible in the first place. And then they were like, yeah, well, you know, it didn't work the first 600 times, but we could try it again. It's the world,
bonkers.
thank God there are people like that out there.
Yeah. And that's why I don't get all like, oh, this is crazy. Listen, every time I log into my computer, I'm low-key like, this is crazy. So she is having him basically rewatch what he did to his first wife.
Yeah.
And she is telling him all about himself. And how you thought that you would be different. You thought that you could break out of your loop, but but you can't. And she has realized that this scene. Well, I guess I could ask you. Like, we know how WestWorld likes to do shit with the timeline,
right?
So, do you have any feelings about when this might be happening?
That was part of my question. Was whether or not this is happening before everything that's going down in the city with what's his face? What's the name of that kid?
Caleb?
No, Caleb's Jesse. I'm talking about the kid with the father who did stuff, who's all sad because he didn't do stuff. You know, the one that she's conning.
Oh, I think his name is Liam.
Liam.
I think it's Liam Dempsey.
Okay. I was trying to figure out whether this was before or after Liam.
Well, this episode again, this is not, I hope people don't think this is a spoiler, because this is information contained in this episode.
If I miss something, feel free to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we know from this scene at the house that Dolores hasn't been in this world very long, because once she says that, and she says that the reason she's here at this guy's house is she needs money, and because she realizes you can't do anything in our world without money, so she steals all his money, and she also tells him, "I know that when you left this company called Insight, you were supposed to turn over all the information that you had, and you kept some. I want you to give it to me now."
Yep.
So he does that, and then he tries to fucking attack her with a golf club.
Like a fucking chump.
Like a chump. And because he says to her at one point, I won't hurt you. And she's like, yeah, you will. I already know you're going to try. So, of course, he does what he is fucking programmed to do. And he tries to hit her with a golf club. And it turns out that Dolores he's swinging at is just a hologram as well. And he misses, he falls, he bangs his head, he bleeds out in the pool.
That was really satisfying.
It was pretty. And then the wife wakes up, and she doesn't seem particularly I mean, she's shocked, but she's not broken up. And Dolores just says, what'd she say?
The wife asks, who are you? And she says, I'm the person who's setting you free.
Setting you free, that's what it is. So then, after the cold open, we see her with the kid, Liam. I'm going to call him until I can see his name again.
That's fine.
And he is like the CEO of that company, Insight. And the girl at the dinner party says that him and Dolores have been dating about a month.
Okay, so it is after she found Insight due to this dude.
Yes.
The first one. And then goes and finds Liam. Okay. Yeah, Liam. What
is it, Liam?
I don't know. This is fine. It's Liam. He is one of those cases of like, and I have an instinctive like, dude, kind of pity, and then I watch him watch his father's enforcer pile a woman into a car to definitely murder. And he's just like, well, make sure I don't get implicated. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's like that. There's just like that moment of like, oh, poor Liam, this sucks. And then I'm like, oh, no. You're absolute trash. Yeah. It's like, I can hear people being like, well, she was conning him and she had a gun and he didn't know what she... Shut up. He doesn't know anything. He is being garbage. But yeah, he's basically like, as he puts it, a figurehead. And she got close to him because she kind of thought he was the one in control of things. And it turns out that he isn't. She has another person that she has to fucking track down.
Right. yeah, we find out towards the end of the episode that not only is he full of shit, but his father was also full of shit.
Right.
Because in this episode, I think I'm behind now because I had paused, so now I'm still at the fucking house at the pool. So we see her with Liam after the proper opening credits, which are different for this season. And a lot of water in these opening credits.
And that dandelion that's like all swirly.
Mm-hmm. And this weird ass bird. But so after the credits, we actually go to Caleb.
Right, okay. So we meet Caleb.
Yeah. And he is looking at his phone, trying to decide whether he's going to take this call, and he does not take it.
Yeah.
And we follow Caleb for a little while. So this is a new character.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Caleb?
Man, Caleb is really Jesse's Walter White now. Jesse is trying to pay for some fucking medical bills, baby. And he's starting to go to the dark side in order to get shit done. He's a vet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those things where the way it's depicted, like, the fight, not even fight scene, but like the scene where his friend is killed, it's so different from the kinds of battles that we have seen before. In terms of the setting, like you're used to tons of smoke and it's very dusty and chaos and yada yada, and it's really not, which makes me wonder what this was about, what even happened. And we find out later that these calls are basically supposed to be kind of like a version of therapy. It's like, I say therapy. It's a service provided somehow,
right?
I think probably is marketed as therapy. Is really more what I want to say.
Yeah, throughout Caleb's introduction, there is this voiceover of conversations he's having with Francis, and there's a lot of talk about, like, you know, when they were serving together and what is this life that he's living now. And we see Caleb going to work at some corporation called Fiber something, where he appears to just be like a construction worker, you know, with his little robot co-worker.
That was so funny.
And we see him go to a job interview, and then we see him in what looks like a proper therapist appointment with a physician right there. And we find out that the phone calls are with his friend Francis, that's supposed to be sort of like a surrogate for therapy. And then the final reveal at the end of the episode is that this is like an AI therapy. They have built like a personal confidant.
They made a Hogwarts portrait that you could talk to after the person has died.
And try to fit it to him as close as they can get, so that it feels like, you know, Caleb is talking to a real friend. And at the end of the episode where he ends up unsubscribing, it's because this AI thing has said something that is like so
out of character,
far removed, out of character. And also he has gotten a call telling him that the job he went to, he's not going to get. And we see him being very frustrated because he's dealing with another kind of AI. It's not even a real person on the phone.
Yeah, he can't even be rejected by a human being.
Yeah, so he's feeling, and we find out that he's participating in this therapy and whatever else they are offering him or having him do as a way to get the benefits to take care of his mother.
Yeah, this reveal, I really liked the fact that it's basically like if I was talking to an AI of you and you were like, well, I think people are fundamentally good and everybody means well and we just have to be patient. And I'd be like,
and then you'd be like, bitch.
Unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe to RoShawn.
RoShawn bot.
Oh my God, RoShawn bot. Maybe that'll be my new username for things now. So after we follow Caleb around for a little bit, then we catch back up with Dolores as she is meeting Liam at this very fancy pants gala or whatever the fuck that they're having in his hour. He's getting some kind of
this dress thing where she
isn't that great?
Where she pulls at the collar of her dress and she just transforms from this like simple black number into this gold gown.
So there was a lot of talk on the interwebs where people were thinking that was CGI, and it is not.
That is so cool.
Because
I kind of thought that it was a combo. I thought that it was probably they got most of it with costuming and then they accented it with CGI. But I love that it isn't.
They said it wasn't. I wonder if they touched it up a little bit because it was like a seamless kind of transformation. But it's one of those like pull away dresses that you see sometimes on the never in real life, but
it's so great.
And we see him. We meet Liam. We meet his two other trust fund friends. And
we're living in a simulation, man.
It's like every dude I ever fucking smoked weed with in the 90s, yo. It's so bad. It's so bad. I was like, motherfuckers are still doing this in the future with those good ass drugs. Do better. Do better.
The thing about this sort of conversation is that there is literally no point. Even if you're right, who cares? Let's say it's a simulation. Then what? Then what? Literally, then what? Because we have these people in WestWorld able to bust out and take people down because they get some clues and are able to pursue that. But you're just working off of a gut feeling, man. Like,
you're just
what good are you?
Talking.
You know? Yeah. So it's the sort of thing that I'm just like, even if we are, what can we even do about it? Just live your life. Shut up.
And like and then if you find out it's true, like how are you going to react? I mean, most people are just going to go back to pretending like they never found out.
Yeah.
So. I will say, okay, I'm sorry, I skipped over Caleb's job.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
No, jump in if I skip something.
Okay. Because he's basically doing like TaskRabbit, but for illegal shit.
Basically,
which
it's
maybe
like
TaskRabbit is for illegal shit. Also, I wouldn't know because I'm a good girl. But yeah, there's this like series of jobs that you can choose from, and it's obvious that some of them are much more dangerous and intense and violent than others. And he tries to just pick robberies and, deliveries,
stuff.
shit that's not going to, he doesn't want to hurt people, is clearly
But
the
problem with that is the jobs you get rated, and you don't get better jobs unless your rating is higher. And he can't get his rating up because he keeps refusing these type of jobs, these ones that they call personals.
Yeah.
So that's Lena Waithe playing a character's name who I forgot.
Okay.
Lena Waithe, did you watch Master of None on Netflix?
No. Well, I watched like 2 episodes and I've just stopped caring.
And she also was behind the movie Queen and Slim, which I did not see.
I didn't see it
and
either.
I heard some scathing reviews of, which made me not want to see it. And she also had a TV show that she produced called The Shy, which I watched the first season of it. I thought was really, really good. But then they had some shenanigans on set with one of the main actors, and I don't know what happened. Some kind of like he was being super gross to the women on set.
Shocking.
Right, that never happens. And then the guy whose name I remember because I think it's Giggles.
That's amazing.
Did you see his shirt?
Yes, it says amused, and then later he gets punched in the face, and it changes to angry.
Yes, he's got like a mood shirt.
It's fucking
on.
like it can tell.
It's like a mood ring, but a shirt.
How? I'm like, what I keep thinking is that it's like, you know how my Apple Watch, when I clap my hands too hard, it thinks that I fell.
Yes.
Can this shirt tell he got punched? And it just defaults to angry because they figure if you got punched, you probably are now. Like,
maybe it's not tied into his physical, but tied into his brain somehow via a chip or something.
I hate
so it's literally
no.
It's responding to his emotional level.
I dislike that a lot.
The guy is a football player. It is Marshawn Lynch. I think that's how you say his name.
Okay.
Also known as Beast Mode. He's very popular on the Twitters.
Delightful.
People love him. I don't really know anything about him. But I think I've seen a couple of clips of him. Maybe he had a TV show. Mm-hmm. But he's just generally a delightful person. You know, people really like seeing him and engaging with him. So I guess that got him noticed and, brought into the show.
Well,
so good for him.
The woman, what did you say her name was?
Lena Waithe.
Lena Waithe. That's her name on the show?
That's her real name.
What's her name on the show?
Can't remember.
Okay. She is high impact. Like, the second she sits down, I'm just like, whoa, who's this? Like, I just had that It's the same reaction that I had when I was watching, it's the first time, I think, in Winter Soldier, the Avengers movie, where we meet Black Panther.
Mm-hmm. Her name is Ash.
Ash, okay. And we have the Dora Milaje, I think that's how you say them, standing guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just, this fucking 6-foot-tall, bald-headed woman who looks at him and says, "Move or be moved." And I was like, what is this? Oh. And I had a similar reaction to her, just like, some characters do that. You just sit up and you go, what's going on? Ooh, who's this? Because she's just so collected and, like, very... She just has, like, that presence that
she has. I was going to say
attention.
she has a very strong presence.
Yeah. There's a moment in Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Terry Crews, R.I.P., in my heart, I mean, not really, he is demonstrating how you have to, like, learn how to control a crowd when you are speaking. And he takes a pause and pours himself a full glass of water and takes a sip. And in that whole time, everybody's waiting in anticipation for what he will say next, rather than interrupting to be like, dude, why are you drinking water right now? Because they're so involved in what he's saying that he can take his time and it's fine and nobody cares. And that's sort of how I felt with her. Yeah, like
command presence.
She could pour a glass of water, and I would just be like, "Look at her drinking that water. Look at how good she does. She's so good at it." And she is going to go on this job with him to bust into an ATM. Now, she isn't working off of this app, right? Does he, like, get in contact with her about it, or is he sent to the location to meet her? Because she seems to know him.
He picks up a job, gets on the subway, takes that
the suitcase, yeah.
And drops it off and runs into them and that's when they're trying to get him to go along on more of these personal jobs. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do any of those. And then she walks out with him to do his, do that little bit of job, and then they split up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it was just, what, do we ever see him deliver that suitcase?
Doesn't he have it with him when he goes into that place where they're sitting?
He does, but then they, like, cut from there to the job, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, to the ATM.
When they're sitting down, he walks into the bar.
Oh, that's the acetylene to blow it up with. My bad. I thought this was a package that needed delivered, but it was delivered, like, for this job. My bad. Okay. I got all confused.
Yeah.
Because, that's what they hook up to the machine, and then they're around the corner waiting for it to blow. Okay.
Yeah, they show up, and she's like, yeah, I remember you. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, okay. So, where do we go after them? Is it Charlotte? I think it's Charlotte.
I really liked watching them do that job, too, by the way. Like, I think this is another thing with, when I was saying how the world feels real, even though it's, like, futuristic, seeing them do a really basic fucking job that is so kind of, like, as she puts it, like, just kind of nothing. They're robbing an ATM. I mean, this is shit that can happen 10 minutes ago. And it's so...
10 minutes from now.
Yeah, it's so, like, low-tech in its way. Oh, we're just literally going to blow it up with this, like, chemical. We're not hacking it, you know? We're not inserting a card and testing out 600 passwords a minute. Like, the beginning of, what was it? That was Terminator 2. He has, like, his little hacker thing and takes money out of the ATM.
Yeah, that's true. He does. God, I forgot all about that.
That's such a good movie.
I haven't seen that in years.
You gotta, it holds up, let me tell you. But, yeah, it's nothing like that. It's just some basic smash and grab. And that, coupled with, like, the basicness of this task, coupled with, yeah, we're going to have this super futuristic car with, like, a weird, like, four-door, but, like, not the way you think kind of setup, swoop up to escort this dude out with your package while you get on the street. It's such a nice, like, it's a really simple job that feels like it's now, but then we get the, like, punctuation of this bonkers transportation that just reminds you, you know? Anyway, I just thought that was cool. That was a good scene.
Yeah, like, she has this like, sort of jammer, you know, she uses to fuck up the cameras that are around and, you know, all that other kind of shit. And she hits that, and that enables the car, I guess, to get away, because there's a cop car that goes by, and then it, like screeches or something to a halt. And he only got $1,200, too, by the way, for that job.
I know.
Or $1,200, whatever the fucking currency is.
Yeah, we'll call it
Not
dollars.
enough.
That's fine. I really love this app, too. Like, it's some bitch in a fucking ski mask, like, trying to, I don't know what. And then it's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Or, no, I like
you got
being
money,
basic.
motherfucker.
Yeah. And then when he completes it, it'll say, you got a bank, now get a drank. And I'm just like, oh, this is exactly what the fuck this app would be like, too. We're so cute. We're funny. We're like your friends.
So, yeah, we go to Charlotte next, and she is at a board meeting for the JLo's group. And basically, she is like, that shit was terrible, but there's no time to wallow in the past. We need to get up and running. And the board is not convinced.
Nope.
And they're trying to tell her that she's like, we need to get up and running, and we need to go private. The money we need, I found a private buyer. But there's a rule that they can't take the private money without William's agreement. Right. And we find out that William has a machine proxy that sits at the board meetings for him.
It's just an algorithm that listens, and it's like, yeah. And oh my God, I love too that they're like, we are tanking. We just need to close down. All these people fucking died. To which she's like, were they clients? No, they were almost all staff. Who cares? And somebody tries to say that is like disgusting and inhumane, and she literally mutes him because it turns out all these people are here remotely. This is Zoom on steroids.
I love when they're like, robots killed people, and she was like, robots don't kill people, people kill people. Oh my God. And so what's happened is they have set Bernard up as the fall guy. And by they, I mean Dolores.
Correct.
And Charlotte is telling them, look, it was one person, it was one rogue employee, you know, Bernard Lowe, who programmed all the hosts to revolt and cause all that destruction. And it is it's not the part of, you know, that's not the park's fault. It's not the program's fault. There's no reason why we can't get back to work. And also she makes the point that people come to the park for danger. So that's just going to up our profile. Even more. It's
like a rapper getting shot. Like,
it kind of is.
Do you remember that Sopranos episode where he's this rapper's asking what's his face to shoot him because he needs the cred, and he does it, but he doesn't like get paid what he was agreed, and so he shoots him in the ass instead.
I do not remember any of that.
Yeah, it's quite a thing.
Oh, good God.
Shoots him in the ass. This
is a fucking show. Yeah. I could never revisit that show. There was no going back.
Yeah.
There was just no going back. That's a shame. It was really good, but I can't do it. Not in the year 2020.
I feel you. There's a lot I'm realizing I can't revisit. And there's new shit, too. Somebody recommended a book to me, and I really tried. I tried to give it, but it was like, you know, it opened with like, oh, somebody thinks I'm a hooker. That's so funny. And then like goes into, she had a Oriental cast to her features. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, kids, but there comes a point where I'm just too irritated. And it's not even like, you know.
Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's just one of those like, oh, God damn it. Like, it's almost one of those where you get mad at yourself, even though it's definitely not you. But you just miss the days where this wouldn't have bothered you a little bit, because it's just narrowed the field so very much for what you can like enjoy. And just I like enjoying things. I prefer that, but man, it's hard sometimes. Yeah, anyway, so people come to our parks for a sense of danger, and now we're bona fide.
Bona fide.
And then she says also, we're not just protecting the park. We have a lot of tech that is incredibly valuable. Mm-hmm. We scrape brains for fucking data.
Yeah.
And I don't think that these people necessarily know that. Right. I don't know how well known that is in general.
It's hard because we know that the board, under William's direction, is what got Ford out, mm-hmm. right? And Ford knew everything that was going on in the park, and he knew what Delos was doing. Mm-hmm. And I would wager that the people on the board know as well. Mm. Especially because she's basically just bringing it up in this fucking meeting. But then there's also, do they know how extensive the data is, might be a question.
Yeah, like it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, we have like tons of information about our clients, but it's another thing to see that there's like film footage of a murder. Like, you know what I mean? That's another thing.
Because the thing is the data that Delos was gathering that I guess was air quotes known mm-hmm. was like people's choices and what do they like for like market mm-hmm, research. Mm-hmm. Remember when he was selling the idea to the old man? Mm-hmm. But then we find out later that not only are they monitoring those type of choices, they're actually digging in and, you know, extracting shit that the clients didn't know they were giving mm-hmm.
up. Also, I need to mention her blazer with these sleeves. Listen. And this gold, shell top underneath it. Ugh, I love it.
So I need to ask you, what do you remember from last season about Hale and how Charlotte and how she ended up where she ended up?
So she's a host, right? Or we saw a host that looked that. Wait, no, I'm thinking of Mabel. Maeve, that's the one. I'm thinking of Maeve.
So,
but wasn't there? Okay, go ahead.
Season 2 ended with the reveal that Dolores was in Charlotte Hale, and that's how she got out of the park. She took 5 pearls with her in her little purse. Right,
and the pearls are like personalities.
Yeah, they're the whatever, the brains, I guess, of the host that we meet. Mm-hmm. So Dolores was in Charlotte when she left the island, right? But now we see Dolores with Liam, and now we're seeing Charlotte at this board meeting.
How many? Can you copy those pearls?
Who do you think's in there?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think because can Dolores copy herself? Can she be in multiple people? Oh, man, that would be so great. If I could put myself in another body and have my other self do the shit that needs doing properly while I'm asleep, oh, that'd be so great. I'd love to do that. And that way I don't have to, like...
Everybody, make a note. Ultimately, Natasha would like to just fill us all up with other Natasha.
No, I don't need filled. I don't like that. But I would like a second, maybe a third one. 3 shifts. We got the day shift, we got the night shift, we got the afternoon shift.
3 shifts.
And then there's me. And I get to enjoy the benefits of all the other versions of me that are still very OCD and want their fucking shit done.
That is like the best delegation I've ever heard.
That's like...
You know?
Because I'm also like a really good cook, so I got one of me that's just in the kitchen all goddamn day.
Listen, all of your strengths out there doing what they do best.
I'd be sick.
And now I'm thinking of that old fucking Michael Keaton movie, Multiplicity, which I've never actually seen. But I feel like the premise was exactly that.
Yeah, basically.
He decided... and then somehow it got out of the hand and ended up being like 50 of them. I'm not exactly sure the fine points of the plot.
The copies, and they were all like weaker and worse. Like the first one came out like
they degenerated.
Yeah, so eventually there was one of them that like barely could even talk, and was like making sandwiches out of things that like weren't food.
Oh my god! There was a I think a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror in the later years where I think there ends up being a bunch of Homer clones, but each one is like worse than the next. And then by the end, they're just Homers bumping into each other saying dough.
Yeah, like I have to be careful with that sort of thing. I don't need, like, it'd be cool if I could like make copies of myself, but slightly dial up certain things for them to be like interested in doing. So I would turn down one's interest in Animal Crossing, for example, but turn up their interest in recording. And maybe I could take a vacation and, like, not miss anything. Have it be doing my job. Still making that money. You know?
Okay. All
anyway.
right. Well, we'll put that plan on the back burner.
I have no idea
now.
who is in her. I assume that if Dolores is in her, that she is wiped and there is no Charlotte anymore. But these pearls, like, how much can be put onto one of these? Can a person, a real, honest-to-God human being, be just pearlized? Is that an option?
I don't think so.
Because we got this fucking security dude later that she has copied somehow. And I don't know how that's, you know, we saw that, like, wherever, whatever building they wound up in has, like, a little manufacturer.
Wait. Let me stop you real quick. When you say that she copies the security dude, what do you mean?
Because he shows up at the end and is like, nobody's going to miss you, to the one that got shot.
Right. She copied his body.
Right.
Not his brain.
Okay, true. Nevertheless, though, how do you even copy a body? Because I would think you would need very specific, did she drug him and sneak into his house and measure him in his sleep like Madame Tussauds?
I don't know. I don't know how the making of the actual host body.
God damn it!
Like, I'm not,
RoShawn. I need the logistics. We know this.
Well, wait though. But I'm assuming that if there is,
you keep hitting your mic. You better stop it.
Oh, I'm sorry. So there is this. If somehow Dolores was able to tap into some type of database of human beings, which there appears to be, that we learned from the Caleb story, that maybe she can take that information and build the host body, you know?
Okay.
But I don't know, and I'll be fair, the show really doesn't tell us that. I guess maybe we're already supposed to understand how that works, and I just maybe missed it.
I guess, like, when you sign up to go to WestWorld, which this security guard went, you know, she mentions that, and you show up and they just have like a fucking closet full of clothing that fits you, right? Ready for you to select from. They probably take extensive measurements when you become a guest. And I bet they take multiple photos from different angles that you could probably use as reference. Like a mugshot, essentially. But because they use facial recognition on their cameras and everything to like determine the story and what needs to happen to who and whatever.
Yep, even not even the WestWorld data. That data is probably just floating around in whatever the system is that's controlling the city.
Yeah, at this point.
Where she has that flyover and they're talking about how the algorithm that, he's supposed to be the creator of, or not the son of the creator of, is, monitoring traffic and street lights and all that kind of shit. So then who do you think she put in to him?
That's my question. Like, I don't know if she can multiply her own self, and do we know exactly who was on the 5 pearls that she took?
No, it was left up to us to guess.
So
we know that there was a Bernard pearl. I think that's the only one we know for sure because we see her at the end of the second season when she builds the new Bernard body and tells him that they're, he's like, "Why'd you bring me back?" And she's like, we all have our roles to play, and sends him out into the world.
I really feel bad for Bernard, man.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to him yet, and it's been over an hour. Good God. All right, let's fucking try to streamline this shit.
Can we just talk about Bernard? Let's just do that right now, because he's on my mind. Go ahead. And this poor bastard is out here, labeled as this murderer tech mastermind, when he's as much a victim of the thing as anyone, but also knew sooner than some other people.
Yeah.
And didn't take action. It's complicated.
It was. He was... The second season of Bernard's storyline was all over the place because we had all those different timelines and all those different Bernards. But at the end of it, we realized that he is the one who brings Dolores back to life and puts her in the Hale body. And he's having all that conversation with Ford in his imagination. So he has a lot to do with how things ended. And he's low-key responsible for Dolores being out in the world. But yeah, he's going to take he's the fall guy.
Yeah.
Which was a TV show that had a great theme song, BT Dubs.
It's very crucial information. Thank you for that.
It did though.
But yeah, this he is living this life. When he gets confronted by these dudes eventually, and they're like, "I know the look of a man on the run." I'm like, is there anybody who would work at this fucking place who isn't a man on the run?
Listen, those motherfuckers look like they were also
100% felons, 1,000% felons. These are definitely bad men. TM. One of them, I really thought when we first see them, I thought for a second he was Jason Mantzoukas, and I was like, "This is a weird choice," and then I realized it was not.
Oh my god!
That's
oh my god!
Low-key hilarious.
Oh my god! How funny would that be?
But yeah, he's working at a ranch in a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And again, with seeing tech that's much more advanced than what we have now, but still we're still out here just slaughtering animals. It's just so... Shit's still got it. People want their steaks, man.
Yeah. It's very, you could just, it's happening right now. So these two guys come up to him. And they realize that he's a wanted man. And for some reason... they decide that beating him.
I think that they are trying to extort money.
Oh yeah, they're like,
right?
It's going to cost you this much money.
Yeah,
whatever is on the flyer, and he's like, oh, Bernard's like, I don't have.
I'm just dudes, if he had that money, why would he be here?
Yeah.
Use your
yeah.
goddamn heads. Jesus.
So, I guess they're just like, unless you can give us this money right now, we're going to beat your ass and turn you in.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see that Bernard has this contraption that lets him access other parts of himself.
Yeah, he's out here because he sees them, like, looking at him and seems to feel the threat, even though we as an audience don't necessarily see it yet, right? Because he's, like, looking at the news and looks up and the two dudes are coming down the steps. And it doesn't feel like, to me, I don't even remember them really looking at him necessarily. But it's, maybe they did and I just sort of missed that part.
I feel like they are ominous as soon as they show up.
Okay.
They just look like no good nicks.
I mean, definitely.
And, they're showing up when he's by himself. Mm-hmm. There's no need to be, like, cornering him.
But he, like, goes back to his little fucking yurt and is checking in with himself to see if his brain has been messed with. Oh, man.
And he checks, this is where we get another timeline cue.
Mm-hmm.
Because he asks when is the last time that they've interacted with Dolores. And he says it's been 92 days.
Yeah.
So now we're 3 months out.
This motherfucker has to cut his arm open and tap into this to just check him, and has to ask himself if he would ever lie to him.
Right. And he is wholly untrustworthy.
Oh, this poor motherfucker. This sucks.
Even though the thing is like, no, I would never lie to you. How can he know for sure? How can we as the audience know for sure?
Mm-hmm.
We can't trust that.
Nope. I just really feel bad that he has got to dig his arm open over and over again.
Yeah, like we saw that a lot in second season. Every time he needed to patch in somewhere, but it's a little gruesome. I'm not gonna lie.
I would really like if he like just got a port made. You know how like cancer patients have a port for doing the like? Can you do that? Just make a little thingy that he can just like and done.
It'd be super helpful.
Yeah. But yeah, so he uses this fucking contraption, as you put it, to activate his badass self and puts these two men down.
Yeah, easy fucking.
It is. I mean, and
listen, Bernard Wright looked extra swole.
Oh my god! I was literally the words were coming out of my mouth that he is jacked. He's got that like long sleeve on under the overalls.
He looks like a fucking lumberjack.
How does this man make overalls look good? Since when? And it's not even like shirtless and overalls like a fucking like Beefcake magazine. He's got a long sleeve like thermal shirt, and I'm just like, oh, what's up, Bernard? He's got his back to the camera, and you could see the V of his back. Like,
yep.
I want to see that butt. I bet he's got a good one.
You could fit a whole one of me on that back.
Yeah, that is, I don't know if he, like, got more jacked since last season, or if we just didn't get much of an opportunity to see his jackedness in previous seasons.
I was wondering that, too. Like, has he always been this swole up? A lot of times when we saw him at the park, though, he was always, like, in a jacket, and maybe a jacket just doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, he's got, like, those little corduroy blazers, and it's just like, well, who knows?
Yeah. I know towards the end of the second season when things started to get really ragged, he was like running around in like a white button down. But
yeah, I wonder. And this brings me to my next question, which is, can hosts work out and get fit? Their bodies work the same as a human, right? So I would guess.
It's tricky. I don't know, because like their bodies are definitely synthetic. Right? Or,
yeah, true.
I don't know
she's
what
super strong.
I don't know what the material is, the milk-looking thing, but it doesn't seem to be. Well, you know what? No, I don't want to say organic. Well, no,
you gotta get up in your mic more.
I'm getting stuck on whether I want to call that white material organic or synthetic. I feel like it has to be synthetic, but synthetic doesn't feel like a fair word for it because we know that
engineered. How's that?
Engineered. Yeah, I like that much better. Because I don't know what the substance of that shit is. So engineered is good. I like it. But I wouldn't think that you could increase the mass of it, though, right?
I don't know. Like, this is my question. Because, like, they use a drug on Dolores that's supposed to kill her. And it doesn't... She's still breathing.
Right.
So I don't really understand how their bodies work in terms... Like, they seem to appear human. Like, they have their organs and everything. But then things that would affect a human don't affect them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what their anatomy is made up. Like, I don't think that they have, like, a beating heart or a liver or stuff like that.
You don't think so?
I don't. I'm trying to remember what it looks like when they're building them. And I honestly don't remember anything...
I'm about to Google this.
Quite like that.
Do WestWorld hosts have organs? The hosts are made out of working biological organs. Yeah.
Working biological organs?
That's what it says.
So you could get a heart transplant from a host?
I mean, if they're making full-on human beings, there's no reason they can't make hearts.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like... That just seems to be, probably this all stems from, like, medical research to begin with.
Huh. So they have biological organs, and yet, to your point you just made, whatever they try to give Dolores to kill her doesn't have the impact on her that it would on a human. So I'm not sure where the line is.
And she drags that guy away with one arm.
Yeah. Like how human... Well, they don't say human, they say biological. So I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
We're getting into territory I can't really speak on because I don't even know what.
Maybe they're made, like, to be, killable and whatnot in general, but they're made to be, like, more durable than a real human being so that they can, like, last through things.
They're clearly more durable.
Well, yeah, but I'm just talking about, like,
I mean, because think of all the times we saw hosts die in the park and get taken to the lab and get stitched back up and then sent, like, right back out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know exactly how that shit is supposed to work specifically. Like, we've seen hosts in the park die, but yet Dolores doesn't die when they give her whatever the poison was that they were trying to give her. So, like, what is the... like, can a host die in this world? Or are they only able to die in WestWorld where it's part of, like, their programming?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And if I were Dolores, I definitely would have stolen one of those guns that just patches up shit real quick.
Listen.
Because she has this, like, gut wound, and I'm like, you should just have on you one of those, like, things, so you can just stitch that shit right back up, and it'll be fine. But it's super painful, granted, but nevertheless.
Right. So, okay, so we're, like, bouncing around. So while we're with Bernard, we might as well just finish up with him. He leaves his little slaughterhouse. And goes into this little town and commissions a ferry ride. And he is heading back to WestWorld.
Yeah, and he's in the Philippines. So WestWorld is much more remote than I had realized.
Yeah, it's an island off of the mainland China. Like somewhere out in the sea there.
Yeah, that's, like, bonkers. I mean, it makes total sense. But... I just, did we, like, know this? Did we hear?
We did.
I didn't remember at all.
We found out late towards the end of the second season when they were trying to mobilize the reinforcements where the island actually was.
But yeah, so he's heading back there, and this dude gives him a look when he says that's where he wants to go. Like, this guy is not impressed, obviously.
With Bernard's decision?
Yeah.
He's not on board. He takes him, though.
Oh, he does.
Look at him like, this feels like a bad choice, my friend. but, I will take you anyway.
Yeah.
But I want to go on record as I want it duly noted that
I
think
protest,
this is a bad idea. So we get some more of Caleb in this episode.
What is this fucking deal with this guy who's on drugs and screaming in front of a weird film? It's like an art installation thing.
Some rich guy who is taking some illicit substance that is not, it's not FDA approved.
Right.
And he is having a bad time.
Yep. He is bugging out, sticking his tongue out and slapping his own tongue real hard.
Yeah, he's got no clothes on, and he's screaming about shadow people.
Oh, my God.
And Caleb has gone on this job and this is a personal, which he, says he doesn't want to do,
mm-hmm.
but he's decided he needs to make some moves.
Mm-hmm.
Making some moves.
This is a mess. And, this is when the dude punches, what's his face, and it turns to angry. And you see Caleb, reaching out, trying to be calm down, man, calm down. But this dude, he just rips this guy's head off with his fist, practically. Oh, man. And you can see the look on his face, Caleb's face, as he's like, oh, God, this is what I'm doing? He does not want to be here, man.
This is where I am now with these people. Got naked, screaming guys all hopped up on God knows what. And Caleb says, I don't do personals when he shows up
Right,
here.
and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here then?
What? That's what my question was. Why did you answer this call?
This is like putting yourself out on Craigslist to do sex work and then being like, I'm not that kind of girl when they show up. What are you doing? You asked me to be here. I don't know what his deal is here. It's more like he came to suss it out and then realized that this was not what he thought.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I missed what the job said on his little phone. If it's specified what type of job this was, mm-hmm. or whether he got a direct call from the kid in the t-shirt from Giggles, and he showed up not sure what the job would be. And I don't even know if that was the information was available on the quick shot of his screen. I don't know. Mm. But I didn't stop to pause and rewatch it.
Yeah, there were a couple times where I was tempted to try and because I don't have a huge TV.
Right.
And sometimes actually can be really hard to see.
I did it to see what the little memos were, you mm-hmm. know, the divergent note and everything. And to see where when she's at the dinner with Liam, they're in London. And then he gets that, his boy Connells comes over and somebody wants to have a meeting with him.
Right.
And they will not be put off, so he has to fly back home for this meeting. Mm-hmm. And he invites Dolores to come with him. And she does. And he's telling her some more about the myth of his father, mm-hmm. who has created this AI called... Rehoboam. I looked up how to pronounce it. It's got 4 different pronunciations.
I like that you said pronunciations.
Pronunciations? How do you say that?
Pronunciations.
Pronunciation? Mm-hmm. It's tomato.
It's fine.
It is fine. And he tells her that his father had a stroke of brilliance one weekend mm-hmm. about this system, and that it took him years to build it, and this is where all their money comes from, and this thing that they have built is calling it a computer is an understatement.
Yeah,
it has processes by the billions per second, and what it can do is determine the most likely outcome of a person's life. Mm-hmm. It can just, it's like an actuary on steroids.
Right.
And once a person's future, basically destiny, is sort of discovered, that almost becomes law mm-hmm. for that person's life. And that there is no escaping it, mm-hmm. and that because you can't escape it, it becomes self-fulfilling. Like, how can you get a better job if you can't go to school? How can you go to school if you can't get a job and afford to pay for it? Like the kind of catch-22 that we're living in now, only so much worse because the whole system is connected.
Yeah.
So there is no
Depressing.
potential. It really is depressing, right? And it's a little bit of a scary harbinger when you think about the issues that we're having with data collection in real time, in real life right now. So it doesn't seem that quite far-fetched.
No. And we all like to pretend that we have free will. I mean, we do, but we just choose the same shit over and over again. It's hard to break out of our loop.
There's a bit where Caleb's voiceover is talking about how they tell us that this is supposed to be a meritocracy, but it's not. And, I mean, that's true of our world right now. They tell us the same lie, and it's not. So, after he shows Dolores all this stuff, he goes off on a meeting. She gets on this motorcycle. And I do love that she walks through this world and she is able to just be like, "Get me a lease in this building."
Oh my God. It's so good.
It's so good. She walks up to the bar. She gets some champagne. She's already got a lease.
This bitch has got champagne in 2/3 of the scenes in this episode.
Listen, why? What's the point if you can't have champagne?
Don't I have some is my question. And I love the shape of the champagne glasses as well. I really like those kind of it's almost like a triangle with the top cut off. You know that shape I'm talking about?
I do. I just saw it.
I like those.
So then she's eavesdropping on his meeting. And his meeting is with a person who we're not sure exactly who she is, who she represents. But she's telling him that there has been a disturbance detected. And this is clearly not something that happens often because this is a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And this woman is asking him, "Have you been fucking up?"
Yep. She's just straight up so, how did you ruin everything? Explain. And he's like, "Excuse me? Look at your own fucking people." To which she's like, "Lol, no. I know what's up with my fucking people. It's definitely not my fucking people. And if it is you, we can easily fix the problem."
Listen, he tries to fucking flex with her because she's like, are you sure it's none of your people? And he's like, well, shouldn't you be concerned about what's going on at Delos? And she's like, why would we give a fuck about that? And he's like, why wouldn't you?
Right, yeah.
And she's like, have you been using the system to look at us? Because it would suck to have to kill you, but we would totally do it.
Yep. Yeah, and he looks over at, what's his name again? Connell. He looks over at him, and Connell just does a tiny shake of his head like he's trying to be like, "She bluffing, right?" And Connell's like, "This bitch is not bluffing,
nah, she's
sir.
Not. No, don't play. Don't play."
Also, I love her fucking hair being parted in this weird 3-way part. Did you notice that?
I did.
I am into it. Man, I wish that I could get my hair to part any kind of way. I've tried to do this shit before, and I just wind up looking like something happened. Oh, you all right? Like that kind of look.
Why can't you part your hair? You just need a comb.
It doesn't, when you have this curly hair, it doesn't do this sort of thing unless you apply an insane amount of hairspray or something.
Oh, so you mean part and then smooth it, straighten it out?
Yeah, so that you can actually see the part as a design kind of.
I gotcha.
And yeah, it just, it's bad. It's bad.
Well, I would like to see it one day.
I'll do it one time when we're actually hanging out in person so that you can see and then I can immediately go and fucking undo it all.
Let's pencil that into the wedding schedule.
I tried to do a zigzag part one time.
Oh my God.
It didn't even when your hair is curly, it just, the part that you have, if you try and go against it, your hair sits up weird. That's the only way I can explain it. It's like a wire that's been bent so long in one direction that you try and bend it into the other direction, and it just doesn't know how to do that anymore. So I try and part it the other way, and the curl is still trying to curl back over really hard. Like, really is just like, no, this isn't how I go. It's like my hair feels sentient at times. And
oh my God.
It just fucking fights with me.
I just got a text from work.
No, what?
They're telling us, for people who work in headquarters, to use discretion or work from home. All Center City stores, Northeast Philly stores, and New York stores will be closed.
Well, your discretion keeps you the fuck at home, right?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you don't have to go until next week anyway, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what that means for her, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is intense.
All right.
You have got to stop hitting your mic.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. Why is that happening so much?
I don't know.
Oh, because I scooched it up. Instead of leaning in closer, I scooched it up. I'm going to push it back and lean in closer.
I scooched it. All right, so yeah, this guy Collins,
Connells, like his last name, like a butler.
Connells is played by a dude whose name I don't know, but definitely recognize from Gladiator, who often plays soldier guy because he has the scar on his face and makes him look like he's been through some shit and seen some shit.
Well, if he's got a scar on his face like that, he probably has been through some shit.
I mean, yeah. Honestly, it's the kind of scar, it looks like a bottle. Like he got in a fucking bar fight and somebody cut his face with a bottle.
Yikes!
Yeah, if you've seen his face when he was younger, it's like a round. It's really intense, and
wow.
I loved him so much in every like little thing that I've seen him in, and I was so delighted to see his face in this because he has always been a real side player in everything because he's just unusual looking and funny. But what's that?
I said I don't recognize him from anything.
I'm trying to think.
I don't think I've ever seen him before.
Because I know I saw him in something else where he was also a soldier, and he was like, he often plays like a jokester, but also a fighter type, you know? The dude who gets drunk and is hilarious, but then picks a fight.
Right. I might have to go check out his IMDb later.
I don't know. I need to revisit Gladiator and see if that shit holds up at all. I fucking loved that movie so much when it came out. And now I'm like, oh, is that terrible? I bet it's terrible, huh?
It might be okay.
I don't know.
Set far enough back, hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know how the women are treated in that movie. I can't remember. Hopefully there's no, like, violence against women.
I mean, there is, for sure. But it's, like, this implication and mention. It's not actually, like... Yeah, anyway. But yeah, so I'm delighted to see him. And he is really, like, working this role. I like it a lot.
Yeah. He is... What I love about it is that he... on the face appears to be an employee of Liam, right? Mm-hmm.
But he's a babysitter.
Right. It really does feel like he is the boss of Liam. Liam wants to stay with his friends, and he has to be like, no, this meeting has to happen, and it has to happen now. He is the one who comes in and outs Dolores as being, not who she says she is. And this guy, Liam, is... not only is he a jerk-off, but he's weak.
Yeah.
He's about to spill all the beans to Dolores. So
she literally says, tell me the name of the man that your father was working with, or the person that your father was working with. That is like the... Yeah. Like, dude, do you not hear this?
He tells her, because he's feeling all sorry for himself. I'm just a figurehead. He admits that he's locked out of the system. He has no control over the system, which is the thing he shouldn't be admitting. And then he goes further and outs his father as having lied and having stolen his technology from someone else. And he is about to give up all the goods.
Yeah.
When Connells walks in and is like, what the fuck are you? Because he's like, what the fuck did you do? Because he like tases her or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what the fuck did you do? And he's like, Connell's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. I was the only part of that scene that I didn't like was that he got the drop on Dolores when they are literally standing in a room of glass. Every fucking surface is reflective in there. There is no way she doesn't see this guy. Which partially,
they're standing right in front of.
Sorry?
No, I was saying the same thing you did. That she was like right and staring at the window when she's talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
So she should have seen his reflection coming up behind her.
But she has like a Connell's ready, so maybe this was a setup, and she was like, yeah, I know he's going to come and get me, and I have to make it look good. But I don't know. I don't want too much of like, oh, this was all planned. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do love the part, because when she faces the real Connells,
mm-hmm.
and she's got him, hemmed up, he's like, Liam will never fucking trust you again. He
mm-hmm.
knows that you're not who you say you are. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm not going back.
Mm-hmm.
So she's definitely been planning for this.
I just don't know if she needed to be captured for it, or if you know what I mean. Like, it's the sort of being arrested because you wanted to be arrested, and I'm just like, that's a little played out. But at the same time, this isn't a huge plot point, so maybe it's fine.
I think what is happening here is not that she planned to be surprised by Connells tonight. I think we're supposed to know she had a contingency plan.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
So that once she's caught, she can activate, Because remember when she calls like the robots and stuff to help her?
Yeah.
And she's like, So once she regains consciousness, she activates like her plan B.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that knowing that makes it your point about how did he sneak up on her when they're surrounded by glass. But it could be that she has decided that whenever Connells makes a move on her,
mm-hmm.
that's going to be her clue that the jig is up.
Yeah, like, because if she did see him and, what could she do? She could either fight back and put him down, which takes him out as an option.
But how's she going to explain that to Liam that she could,
Exactly. She's like, she takes him out as an option. She, ruins everything with Liam. So she needs to sort of, let this play out so that she can still use him.
Exactly. I think that's exactly what's happening here. So then Caleb fucking puts her in this thing. Not Caleb, I'm sorry. Connells puts her in a little helicopter deal.
Mm-hmm. So cool looking.
It is pretty rad.
It's like a giant drone, basically.
It looks just like a drone.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like. And is letting Liam know that he's going to take care of her. And Liam doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said earlier, he's just like, don't let it come back to me.
Yep.
And Connell says, I'm going to use outside help. And he is transporting her body. And I think this is when Caleb bumps into them. Yeah,
Caleb gets involved because he's bringing the drug that they're going to use, I guess. Because he takes a job and drops it off. And then he begins to notice that this is a bigger, more organized, he's a piece in a big play here.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck is going on really right now?
He sees the little drone thing coming in, and the dude just puts a gun in his face, you want to leave now?
Mm-hmm. He has his reaction, it's not even a startlement and then, oh, wow. It's immediate, again, I don't want to do this right now. It's this resigned, exhausted.
He's so annoyed.
Yeah.
He's so annoyed.
He says, it's not the first time I've had a gun pointed at me. And the guy goes, well, do you want to make it the first time you've been shot in the head? And he says, someone else beat you to that too. And the dude, when he says that, I feel like this guy realizes that he's a vet because this dude himself looks military, like probably ex-military. And I think that shifts things for him a little.
It does, because he puts his gun down and Caleb doesn't leave. He stands and watches everything, and he's not supposed to fucking be here for any of this bullshit. I love when Caleb shows up and he's like, I don't do personal.
Again!
Which is like the thing we keep hearing him say. And the dude is like, nah, we didn't ask you here for that.
Yeah.
So he finally walks away, Caleb does, and we see them transport Dolores out of the little drone thing and into the back of yet another vehicle. And they're transferring her, I don't know, like, what the plan was supposed to be.
They're
like,
getting her into a bad neighborhood, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think they're going to make it look like she was, like, trying to get some drugs and, like, OD'd or something.
Oh.
I think that was going to be the setup.
Because I was like, why are they taking her to, like, this weird dark alley? Like, what is happening? They could have just been killed her. But, okay, that makes sense. So, Dolores is able to get herself out of the situation.
Oh, she sure do.
It does not take a lot.
I don't know how she gets her hands on this, like, baton that she uses. It's like, maybe when she's being transported, she, like, pickpockets one of them or something.
I'm trying to see. Like, they leave her in the car. He's giving the drugs to everybody else. Mm-hmm. And
Connell says something like the handlers probably got wise and scarpered. And I don't know that, like, oh, right, scarpered. You like that word, huh?
Yeah. I laughed so hard when I saw when I first watched the episode.
But is that, like, what does he mean? Does he, like, they advertise this basically as, like, one thing, and then he's like, they figured out that they're going to be dealing with a body, and they're not interested? When he says handlers, you know?
I'm trying to get to that part because I don't remember that.
52 minutes, right around there.
I might have passed it. I'm at 53. I might have said it already.
Because, yeah, they're just sitting there waiting for a minute. And I don't know if, like, when he says like, they have the drug. That was what Caleb brought. So, yeah. I don't know if they had, like, a setup that they were going to use to set the scene for her, like, overdose or whatever. Maybe he thought, like, was going to hand over her murder to somebody else, and his guys weren't even supposed to, like, get their hands dirty at all. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I can't find the scene where he's talking about handlers.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Oh, here we go.
I don't feel like watching. It's going to help.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think you're. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Handlers probably got nervous.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well,
like, maybe he put a message out and she was able to sort of intercept it somehow. I don't know, but because there's something about that moment that makes me feel like she had something to do with it. But yeah, they try and inject this thing. She gets herself out with this, like, baton that she gets somehow, and it might be, you know, somehow hinted at how she does it in this episode, and, you know, I just missed it. But it's pretty great to watch him see this mysterious vehicle just pull up, and it does nothing. It just sits there. And
he's so annoyed.
Oh my God.
He's pointing a gun at nobody.
Yep. It's a really tense moment because, like, I'm figuring this is going to be another host. You know, like, I'm low-key all episode waiting for Maeve is really what's going on here. So I thought that Maeve was going to step out and just be like, hey, what's up, baby? And yeah, no, it's just this cool. It's a really awesome design for this car, though. I love it. This whole like one side is just all window.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you take when you're going to the prom, so everybody can see your dress, even when you are sitting in a car.
It kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, if you gotta be in a car and you're good dressed, you want people to be able to appreciate it.
Exactly. And there's a moment here when after she takes these two guys out, it's very John Wicky, by the way. She's just like chest shot, headshot, chest shot, headshot, like boop,
oh
boop,
yeah,
boop, boop. No pause, no hesitation, immediate deaths of these guys. Except when she first gets out, they are just firing like machine guns at her. Do you remember that with the two dudes who are like kind of far off? And I guess it's just part of her being what she is, but she gets injured, like she's in bad shape later, but at the moment she's fine. And I don't know, did they just like miss her? They fired so many bullets. Guys, what do you need?
Are they using the ones that are like attached to their arms?
I don't know. I couldn't see. They were far away. But yeah, and what's great about the way this is filmed is we see out the front windshield to what she's doing, but there's also the rear camera. So we're getting a look also at what's his face getting in the car and escaping. And then one of the other like henchmen sets up shop trying to fucking heal himself right behind the vehicle, and she just backs over him. It is brutal. It was just like, I mean, and this dude, what are you thinking? Like, where are you standing there, guy? But what?
I'm just like, why are you standing there, guy? And I'm just like, yes, that's a great question. The shot you're talking about is up. It's so good. Through the front window and then through the rear view camera.
Yeah.
Excellent. Just excellent.
So, yeah, I mean, and I'm interested, too, about the way this system works. I am assuming that camera is not hooked up to the internet in any way, because these guys are doing nefarious things. Like,
you would hope, right?
Is this a Stringer Bell moment where it's like, are you taking notes on a criminal fucking enterprise? Like,
I hope to God that they have something like fucking Ash had where they can like block out cameras and shit, you know?
Yeah.
We know that tech, we now know that tech exists. If they don't have it while they're out doing this kind of shit, then they don't deserve to be henchmen.
I'm taking your henchman's license away.
So then we have the car chase,
Mm-hmm.
and meanwhile Caleb is walking through the dark streets talking to his AI friend Francis, and they get
his acting
Dolores.
is so good. I'm so glad that he got a role in something else. By the way,
he had that show on is it Amazon? Was it Prime? It ran for like 3 or 4 years.
Nobody watched that.
I couldn't. They didn't. I tried to watch it. I couldn't. I tried. I couldn't. I forget what it was called though.
But yeah, this chase and then her like tracking fucking Connells. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm getting it. And then the copy of Connells saying, "I'm sure nobody's going to miss you," which is what he said to her right before they were about to kill her. It's real nice. I liked it. Maybe that's Maeve in there. I would really like it if it was Maeve.
We haven't seen her yet.
How would he know that he had said that earlier?
That's a fucking good question, right?
Sorry, guys. I keep poking holes in things. I'm just asking the questions.
I mean, that's a good question. Maybe it'll be answered.
Maybe it'll be answered.
Maybe it won't.
Yeah, I'm over here being like, I'm poking holes in things. I might not be at all. They may tell me. It's fine. What?
It just made me laugh. Okay.
I do like. Can you imagine though if you're standing there and yourself walks up,
no, thank
and
you,
points a gun at you?
I would rather not, and tell me to my face that nobody's going to miss me. No. Nope. I would rather not. This is a great moment though when he comes walking out of the woods.
Yeah.
The other Connells. and the guy starts like the real Connell tries to like crawl away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
On his belly.
Fucking good. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, she tells him to go because he sees she's injured and tries to and she's like, that doesn't matter. And because he shot, the real one in the head, the dudes who are on security detail heard that shit and mobilized. Mm-hmm. But she's too close to a vehicle. She gets that body out of there. She's able to cover her tracks really well, pretty quickly.
I love the way she drags him through the woods.
Oh
like so much garbage.
It is undignified.
It is. So she doesn't get in the car with the body. She puts the body in the drone and sends it back wherever she sends it. Mm-hmm. And Caleb comes across her wounded in that tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting moment because he sees the drone take off, and he's like, "What is going on?" And I'm sure he has to be able to hear the gunfire. I would imagine, but yeah, she is taking out every single one of these dudes. It's amazing. It's again very John Wicky because she's just so methodical about it.
I love the Dolores. I enjoyed them in the other two seasons too, but for her to be as tiny as she is in real life, mm-hmm. she is convincing in these moments. She is.
That part. There's a part when she's dealing with these attackers, and she grabs one dude and tackles him and rolls over on top of him, and it is partially her stance, partially the mm-hmm. Dead cold expression on her face, and partially that she doesn't blink at all. That mm-hmm. is a real robot moment for me.
Yeah,
it's great. You just have this oh fuck, I keep forgetting you're like a killing machine. Oh, she's so good. I love her.
Now, I feel bad because I forgot to give you the heads up, and I probably should have. Did you by any chance watch the after the credit scene?
I sure didn't.
Okay. So, guys, we took a quick second break so Tosh could watch the stinger to the episode, which I forgot to give her a heads up about. And go.
What on earth is that? I see her wake up and it doesn't even occur to me that she's in a park. Even a little bit. Uh-huh. I am assuming, if time travel doesn't exist in this universe, that's what this is. She seems surprised to be here. Mm-hmm. So I am assuming this is not her. This isn't a Maeve designed for this park. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This is the Maeve we know being placed somewhere unexpected that she was not ready for.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's clear.
Yeah.
And it appears to be, I mean, what do we want to call this park? Do we want to call it Nazi Park? Because why would anyone make such a thing?
Nazi Park seems fair, yeah. I am not surprised that this exists at all. I should have known. Call of Duty is one of the most popular games of all time. You can put people into a game, that's basically what these parks are, where they get to actually kill Nazis. I mean, 100% this would be something.
Hopefully that's what they're playing as.
I mean, right, yeah, that's true. It could be a white supremacist park where it's oh, look at this is super fun. We get to burn lots of Jews, which
Jesus.
I'd like to hope that to a certain crowd.
I would hope that park does not have playable characters as Nazis. Maybe the only way you can play is to be on the other side. I would like to hope.
I would think
that is a thing. Probably not.
Yeah.
So, what do you think Maeve's going to be getting up to this season?
I guess Maeve is going to start a fucking rebellion. I hope. I hope. I don't like that she's unaware of what happened though. She isn't given any information from what I see. And I am assuming she was placed here by Dolores.
So you think it's the Maeve that we know though, the woke Maeve?
I think so. Yeah, I'm going to say yes. But
okay.
I don't know.
Well, they didn't give us a lot to work on, but she does look very surprised and bewildered to find herself where she is.
I mean, she could be Park Maeve, for this park, And she's just surprised and bewildered because she was somehow kidnapped and just literally doesn't remember what happened. But this they don't tend to do a lot with like private programming stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's usually there has to be guests involved.
Yeah. And to see a host in what appears to be a new park that we're seeing for the first time, the assumption is that she is... well, it could be two things. It could be, like you said, the actual just regular day host, Maeve, you know, having been placed in this park to be part of someone else's narrative, if that's still a thing that happens at the parks. But then why would she look so confused?
Right.
But if it's woke Maeve knows that there's different parks.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so I guess we will see. So any want to make some wild predictions for the season?
I don't know. Like, what's Bernard going back for? And are all the parks in the same place?
That's an excellent question. I feel like when we watched seasons 1 and 2, remember they had that big control room where they could see like the whole park on one screen? It felt like they were telling us everything was happening on one landmass.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure if that's true. But I feel like anytime we saw like pictures of the park, it would be like sector this is, you know,
yeah,
the Lakota world, and this section is Raj world. So
is Raj world what they call the Indian world, like 20s India?
Yeah, I don't know if they called it Raj world, but it was set in the time of the Raj, the British occupation of India. So
right,
Raj world.
Yeah, I'm like wondering if Bernard obviously he has to be feeling away at being made to take this fall, and he has to remember if he was involved with the creation of he has to remember there are other parks, and I mean, I don't like. I'm assuming like he's going back to like fuck some shit up, but I don't know in what direction.
Man,
you know,
I mean, having seen the board meeting with Charlotte Hale, we know that there are forces on the outside world that are invested in getting the park up and running. So maybe Bernard is not here for that.
Yeah,
or you know, he could be on some other kind of mission. I mean, if I'm Bernard, low-key between me and you, I'm not going back to WestWorld.
Fuck it. Fuck it all to hell.
It is nothing there that I want. No, thank you.
Although I could see in his position feeling responsible for the suffering of like all these beings.
Oh, you know he does.
So I guess that's really what it... Because I'm just thinking of him as like an escaped host, but no. So, yeah, I guess.
And like when the end of season 2, there were a lot of hosts, not all of them, but a good number of hosts that went like through the door, right? So they are offline as far as the park is concerned, and they have been beamed up somewhere where they're supposed to be safe. But that wasn't all the hosts. So it could be that Bernard feels like he has to go back and save whoever didn't get through the doorway.
I mean...
Or maybe to shut Delos down forever so that they can't get back up one line.
If this other park is like still operating when the other one got... I mean, that's nuts.
You know,
so is this like a dress rehearsal? Like,
you know, and that's the other thing too, right? Like, what are we looking at here? Are there any actual humans in this park, or is it just Maeve and a bunch of like hosts? You know,
yeah.
Or is this an actual
functioning park?
Able,
yeah,
you know, functioning. And if it's functioning, it can't be the timeline that we've been watching, right? So that's another question. Like, did we just jump? Or did we go, you know, back?
Right.
We don't know when this is happening. We don't know when she's waking up in relation to when season 2 ended. Has it been a day? Has it been 3 months? Has it been, you know what I mean? We don't know yet. Indeed.
Yeah, I'm about to say something, and then I get like 6 other thoughts that are like, yeah, but. So yeah, I don't have any guesses. I don't got nothing. All I know is that I want to see what the fuck Dolores is wearing next episode.
Listen, it has been gorgeous watching her. She has been stunning in every frame.
Everything.
So I'm here for that too.
It is super irritating. Like every outfit, she's just killing it.
Yeah. Her little bob too. Her sophisticated bob that she's got happening. It's a good look. It's a real good look.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is coming up. This is 2 hours now.
Yeah, we need to wrap it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for listening. I hope that you are enjoying the show. And, if you can become a patron and help us out with our goal to getting to cover Song of Ice and Fire, you can do that by going to patreon.com/unspoiled. And last time I checked, we were at 95%. And it is looking good. We have until the end of our coverage for this. And because I haven't mentioned it on this feed, I'll just do a quick synopsis. RoShawn has read the first book and a half or 2 books, does not really remember them, and watched the show, the Game of Thrones TV show. So we will be covering Song of Ice and Fire if we make our goal, but it will be a different perspective than the usual straight up unspoiled perspective, which I have done once already. And I am ready to replace the feed with my ex-husband on it with some new stuff that has my best friend on it. So that is the goal, and I think it'll be really interesting to hear what RoShawn thinks of the story coming at it from the perspective of somebody who's seen the show. And, I'm just interested personally to see how I feel coming back to it after going through a huge transformation in terms of my point of view and perspective on the world. Because I have changed a great deal since I first recorded that. So I'm just wondering how it holds up. So again, you can become a patron and help us get to our goal. I have, like I said, we're at 95%. You can see the percentage that we are, how far we've gotten. Only if you are logged out of Patreon. Don't know why. But it's patreon.com/unspoiled. And you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter @unspoiledshow, Instagram @unspoiledpodcast. And if you have questions, comments, or concerns, you can send them up your butt. I'm just kidding. You can email unspoiledpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week with a new episode. Until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.